Arknight's Enfield's character models are simply beautiful, and one unique thing about them is how they incorporate a higher degree of realism in their designs than most 3D anime games. Some might say that the blending of PBR with the anime style can clash, but like with all things, it's the execution that matters. Personally, I think Enfield did a great job with their specific recipe, and today I'll break down some of the secret sauce in their art style. Today we'll feature Lavatane, one of the most gorgeous characters ever brought to life in 3D, and take a look at all of the amazing things packed into her model. First of all, her model can be picked up here from a playbox, which does require registration via phone number, but once you're in, you can just search for her Chinese name or Enfield's Chinese name in the search bar, and this is the one I'm using. This particular user has a bunch of Enfield models if you're interested, and this specific one requires you to like, save, and follow the user before you get access to the free download, which gives you a PMX file that you can import into Blender by going here and installing MMD Tools plugin from Get Extensions, and then you could go File, Import, PMX, and that's how you get it into Blender. Now, I'm actually not sure if this is the official release because it's not from their official account, but it does come with the standard MFD rig and shaders, which you can play around with if you want, but it does have some additional files that usually don't come with the public free MMD models, and we will take a look at those, but first, a couple of the more immediate surface details. I'd say Lavatane's most captivating feature is her face. She's adorably pouty and a little fierce, and one thing Enfield does relatively well is having unique facial features across their different characters. For Lavatane, one charming feature are her puffy cheeks, which are just begging to be pinched. They stick out a little more than the typical anime-styled face, but it's executed nicely to make her look more youthful but not chubby. And the key to that is the immediate chin contour below it. So you have the puffy cheeks, but immediately it slopes inward for the chin, and the length of the lip line helps with this as well. The view angles are overall insane. She just looks good from anywhere that you view her from. Overall, this has to be one of, if not the best face in gacha yet, depending on your taste. She's got a semi-painterly style, and this is accomplished by the subtle strokes on her brows and iris. Those lines going across are very vital to this kind of look, as well as these gradiented outlines on her bottom lashes. She's got the reptilian style pupils, so diamond shape elongated a little vertically and positioned slightly more inner than the center. This achieves like a more direct stare towards the camera. Now let me show you a neat little nugget in the shading tab. This is her eye texture, so you'd expect the result to look something like this, because all it has is this little ring in the middle and everything else seems to be transparent, which it is transparent, but it's not fully transparent. The full color detail is actually there, but it's set to a very low alpha. To prove this, we can do a little mixed color action, plug the color into both, and plug the alpha into the factor, and that reveals the hidden color information. Now you might be wondering, why don't they just make the texture fully opaque? Well, the thing is, now you can reuse this and plug in into, say, the emission color, and then you can just tune that specific area and have this isolated area for the highlights, which makes the iris pop and can have a nice effect using the localized emission. To blend in with a PBR style, the outer edges of her face texture gradually darken, so you can see that there. And their face shadows use both real-time lighting, and they still use the meta SDF map method, which is what anime games have been using since as early as Genshin Impact, maybe even earlier, to achieve their face shadows. And the SDF image looks something like this. And again, I'm surprised because this file is usually not included with the MMD models that games generally release, but it was included with this one. And of course, it's usually not set up in the base MMD shader, but I went ahead and copy and pasted an SDF node setup so that I could test it out. I do have an old video on how to generate these maps and set up this node setup. I probably have to make a new one, but I'll leave it in the description if you're interested. I just plugged in their SDF image here, and now I'll SDF you for a second and demonstrate it using my sun's Z rotation. So I have a sun set up here, and we can approximate how it looks like in game, though definitely in game they use a more smooth step method, so it won't be like these harsh outlines. But that's that's generally how it works. I also like their more inner cheek shadow placement, because usually it's like around here, right? But they've made it to be a little more on the inside. And the advantage of this, let me show you with my model. So here in this model, we're using the same shadow map tech, except the triangle is more under the center of the eye. But the problem with this is when it gets to around this area, it gets this leftover triangle light, which is kind of weird. But when you shift it over towards the more inner area, then it's more of a smooth transition. The next piece of the puzzle is her hair. Once again, great execution with the silhouette, the overall face framing, the view angles, and the layering. The strand density is fairly high, and it goes well with the semi-PBR style. There's plenty of splits and thinner strands, both as mesh offshoots and textured. All the hair's UVs are straightened vertically, which is kind of smart. Then there's yet another layer of strand detail within the hair normal map. Let's crank this up a little and you can see even more strands, of course with the added benefit of some light dimensionality. Then we've got these hair shadows, which here it's just simple transparent versions of the bangs mesh. In game, they won't be floating like this because they're superimposed onto the face mesh with the shader, and we showed this technique in our last Enfield models video. Now, making our way down, one established element of Arknight's outfits are the functional details such as the straps, belts, buckles, and pouches. She's even got a couple of purses on her, a nice cute addition. In this game, what you'll find is that literally every outfit piece for any character has 2 or more fabric layers arranged in various ways that you usually don't see. This guarantees that there's never an uninteresting or basic design. They'll never make a one-layered top and call it a day. Like, look at this. This part's sewn on with this kind of X shape, and even up here you've got this going on, this sewn layer, and even the fold over here. And that's all before we add the belts and buckles and all of these little, doohickeys going on. It really shows that they're serious about their clothing designs. We look down here on her skirt, you can see that there's an additional 2 ruffled skirt layers, and they even have variations in the folds and the amount of ruffles, and it prevents it from looking like a low effort copy and paste. And this is all before we toss in the outfit's normal maps, which again, they're not usually included, but they are a huge part of the Arknight's art style, and they're not usually set up with a base MMD shader. So how you set it up is you just have this principled BSDF, you take their D or diffuse map, which looks like this, and you just plug it into base color. You take the normal map, in this case it's this yellow looking map, you plug it into a normal map node and plug that into normal. And this normal map node will allow you to adjust the strength, and I'd say around 0.4 or lower, gives you the level of detail and strength that you kind of see in game. And boy, does that make a big difference. Enfield's execution of normal maps when it comes to clothing materials is top notch, and you can instantly see the kind of effect that it has. It provides the fabric detail, it accentuates the manually meshed out creases, it masks the rather simple stitching, and even gives the illusion that these zipper teeth are individually modeled when really it's very simple, and the texture is doing a lot of heavy lifting. Let's turn up the normal map for the bottom areas. You can see a lot of depth is added to the skirt, and this floating metal ring, the metal damage is really accentuated. And yeah, every aspect of the model is normal mapped to some extent, even the skin. Let's turn it up not too much. And we can see the shadows on around the breasts and on the shoulder blades a little, around the knees. And as you can see for Arknights, their design choice was not too heavy on the lines when it comes to like the knees, the back of the knees, the shoulder blades, things like that. Again, to go with their more PBR leaning style. Well, look at the purses too. Look how much that changes when the normals are there and when they're not. The stitching absolutely comes to life. That's crazy. And one last treat they included with the download we usually don't get are the emission maps. You know those fire effects that she has in battle? It's accomplished by these. And they're denoted by the E suffix, so we got E for emission, N for normal, and D for diffuse. Pretty easy to remember. And we just plug in the E image's color into the emission color, where then we can tune up the strength and see whatever effects it has. So I think the biggest one is the ring that she has going on here. When we turn that up, you can visibly see it get hotter. Oh, that is crazy as spook. Her top texture also comes with some details. So let's see. I know so the diamond gets brighter. Her little rose thing at the back gets brighter too. There's this LED strip right here. And as you can see, the edge of her sleeve gets a little burnt, so that's a nice touch. And she's also got some for her bottom texture, which actually it's just the shoes as far as I can see. The shoes light up. I recall in-game parts of her skirt go on fire too. I'm pretty sure that's also utilizing this kind of effect, but it's just not included in this model for whatever reason. Oh, and her horns too. That's a really fun touch. Of course, it looks even more amazing in-game with whatever their exact shader recipe is that really brings the magic to life. And before we go, let's of course keep up with our tradition and check for any fun stuff hidden in the model. So we've got fully modeled again with the fully modeled. Sorry about saying fully modeled again. So we've got fully modeled thong details, which will never be seen, by the way, so it always baffles me. Like that will never be seen in game. Like I can understand these parts, but not whatever's going on up here, you know? As for our chest cavation, you know what? That's not bad compared to the usual. Yeah, I mean, that's a generous amount of faces left in there. You got some of the bottom as well, and a lot in the middle, which is originally covered up. So I'll take that as a small win for humanity. All in all, simply one of the highest quality models I've ever seen. If we're talking about not only the sheer effort, but also the amazing outfit design, the impeccable execution of the face and the hair, everything about this model is good. I actually don't think there's a single glaring weakness in this entire thing. It's really that good. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I've got more 3D character breakdowns on my channel if you're interested, with many more and other modeling content coming your way very soon. And until the next upload, my goats, have yourselves a good night.